Hello, hello, everyone in Facebook land. I'm glad to see you here. It's June 3rd. It's barely June 3rd where these gentlemen are right now, but I am so excited to be sharing a little bit of time with some buddies that I felt like became family to me when we were on tour over the last couple of years. One of the most iconic bands from the 1980s. I've got Trev Steele and Johnny Cristo from Escape Club. Thank you for being here, guys.
Yeah, hey, how you doing?
Hey, Kevin, good to see you again, man.
I'm so glad to see you. All right. So what I love to do when I talk to my pals here is to look at how they've decorated their work environment. Right. So, Johnny, we've got some gold records.
It's my mini studio here.
There's a gold cassette back there. What's that all about?
That was for a hit single, "I'll Be There," which was #8 in the US Billboard.
That was for Michael Jackson, right? I'm just kidding.
Yeah, that's a cassette.
All right.
Young people out there will not know what that is.
I was just going to say, children. All right. Now, if you're listening, those go into a machine that has a little tiny motor that turns these and it pulls tape. Yeah, they do.
Yeah. And the tape used to always come out and you used to have to get yourself a pen, put it in the spool and twist it round.
That's right.
Kinked. Yeah.
You know what? This is a good question for you guys because we're, playing music from similar genres. Before I got to meet you guys for a long time, I played with Animotion. I was with that band for about 15 years.
Did you?
Yeah. And when we first started doing gigs about 20 years ago, we used mini DAT tapes as the backing, right? So we had hopefully we've all evolved past those things and have like less moving parts. But did you guys ever have experiences where you had backing tracks gone awry?
No, we never used backing tracks. Back in the day, all we had was those old samplers. I can't even remember who made them now. I think it was Akai.
Mm-hmm.
We used to have a sampler hooked up to the keyboard, but we never used backing tracks, Johnny, did we? Back in those days.
We used to, back in their day, bring a keyboard player with us. So things like the Gunshot on Wild Wild West. And never really. We used a tape once for an intro of a song called Blood and Water we did, which was John Holiday, a guitarist, did a little tape loop, and we used to come on. It's a little bit like a Won't Get Fooled Again from the Who.
Yeah.
So it sort of started like that, and then we'd come flying on, bang, big like that, and then the PA guy would just turn the cassette off,
Yeah. Did they ever forget and just let it?
We have had backing. We have had backing track issues in the more recent future, though. More recent time. Sorry, future. Coming forward to the future from them. Yeah, and Kev, as soon as if you're playing to a backing track, you've got to play every bar exactly the same.
Right.
And if you go, it's my fault usually. I start singing in the wrong place. Everything has to go off, and we just have to wing it. It's a whole different experience, isn't it? It's not good.
It does keep you flying by the seat of your pants, right? You're good at sort of jumping from one phase to another. It's funny because the audience oftentimes has no idea what happened, right? And so it might be you that sings the wrong part, but they always blame the drummer every time, man.
The band do. Everybody does. Yeah, that's true.
It seems like
we had our nightmare in Dallas. I think that was our last year. That was our nightmare when the night when Thomas Dolby was there.
Oh yeah, Houston.
And there was a girl on the mixing desk.
Dallas.
So out of her league, the poor kid. She didn't know what she was doing, and she was just twiddling knobs, and no one could hear anything. We could not hear a thing. And I think everybody suffered. You guys suffered as well, because I remember Pando coming up going, "You gotta be kidding!"
Yeah, yeah. That's not exactly what he said, but I won't.
Keeping it clean.
That's right, man. You know what was really okay? So a couple of things about that gig. You're right. It was Dallas. Thomas Dolby. I remember standing side stage with you guys watching.
Yeah.
He came out there, and his performance was incredible, man. He did that cover of Heroes, the Bowie tune, with the video behind it. Man, I have goosebumps right now.
Same here. I started crying for that. Yeah, it was incredible.
God.
It was absolutely incredible. Yeah.
I was standing next to Martha, and both of us had tears rolling down our eyes. That's a special song for me, and I know it's especially for Martha as well. And talking to her afterwards, she divulged what it meant to her, and I divulged what it meant to me, and both of us big hugs all around, But Thomas was, we was all like this,
yeah,
that night.
Yep.
You know, he was phenomenal.
Do you want to share what special moment or special?
It's a bit grim. It's well, you know, my late wife passed away from cancer, so it's a bit hard to say really without bringing the mood down. But on her deathbed, I sang it to her.
Oh my God!
You know, I'll be king, you'll be my queen, and that sort of has stuck. I couldn't listen to Heroes for probably 3-4 years. I'm coming into the 9th year since her passing, but I've now embraced the song. I've learned how to play it. I sing it, and you know, I'm great. And I know I won't say what Martha's issue was with it, but it was again very personal to her, very, very personal. So yeah, that one's a tough one, but we got over that. There's another song I can't listen to, which is by Muse, which has that same thing. But again, I've seen Muse in the past. I'm standing in the audience. Both me and my daughter are just tears rolling.
Oh man!
But that's the power of a song and the power of music.
Isn't it crazy?
Unbelievable.
You really, I mean, it's an amazing legacy that you leave your late wife, right, with that, and it's something that's cool that you can share together. When you hear that song, instead of having it be a sad thing, you know, you got to celebrate that together. You know, that's and music, it does transcend. And honestly, right now the world is grim, right? I mean, there's a lot of really tough stuff going on for everybody. I mean, musicians, of course, you know, we've got our lives upended, and people have lost income and they've lost, you know, family members. I mean, the medical side of things is obviously even more traumatic than economic impact, right? But for me, my personal thing was that I just got really tired of looking at all the things I couldn't do, right? There's so much out of our control. And Gord, our guitarist from Flock of Seagulls, and I hopped on just a live conversation, and that's where this whole thing started. I realized how cathartic it was to be able to have time together where if we can't be in a room, and we can just share, you know, this is what you and I, all three of us would be doing backstage. We would. Yeah, man, we'd be hugging. And it's really been a selfish thing for me to just connect with everybody that means a bunch to me, you know, and the music side of this is really important. So the people that get to share, to jump in on this, they have their reflection of what Escape Club meant to them, you know, as they're going through the 80s, that time.
Absolutely.
You know, times were maybe easier for them. You know, they didn't have so many responsibilities. The world may have been in a different place, but they don't have to think about all the icky stuff. They can just think about how much they love these songs and what they were doing when the first time they heard you guys. And so, you guys are really engaged with your fans too. I know when we're out.
Yeah, we are. And it's quite incredible as well. I mean, you probably saw it because we were all sitting on the table signing things after the shows and everything. I was amazed at how many people, so emotional really, when they come up. I think it's because you're reminding them of their high school days when probably things were a bit easier, as you say. It was a lot better. But it's quite incredible how music can touch people like that. And you feel quite honoured that you can bring something to them, you know, something that makes them happy.
I think it was really humbling, especially on the meet and greets. And you had people coming up to us and just saying, "Oh my God, what that song meant to me in high school, or what you guys mean to me." And we were just like, "Oh, little old me," you know. It was just really humbling to see them loving it, and they had a fantastic night out. They were even dressed up for the occasion,
right?
In their 80s gear and big hair and stuff. It was just unbelievable. Really loved every minute of that as well.
Yeah, it's good fun.
You mentioned humbling, and I think that's one of the things I really love about the community that we have with these bands is that a lot of us, we appreciate the fact that people are willing to dress up and come out and celebrate these nights. The bands to me are like family. You know, we get this family reunion of our pals, but then the fans that come out, I call them, I don't even like to call them fans because really they become friends. They're supporting the band and they're out there. You know, they pre-funk listening to Wild Wild West on the way to the gigs, you know, and then while they're, but you know, I will say that a magical thing about Lost 80s Live and that combination of bands is that you get bands that represent a whole bunch of different points in that era, right? So you'll have the guys on Oingo Boingo on some sets, and the Tubes and Romantics and Drama Rama and Wang Chung and Naked Eyes and Berlin and Missing Persons, Animotion. They get so many songs that meant something to them in one night, like more bang for the buck. And then it's obvious why these venues are packing out. We had some historic shows. Was there any point last year on tour where you thought, wow, this is it's like a whole new wave of discovery for people coming out to see you guys again after a while?
Absolutely. I think for me, probably for you, Johnny, as well, I think playing the Greek in LA was quite a big moment for us because we always wanted to play that. He's got a picture there behind him. Yeah. But I think the truth is, Kev, the difference this time is we're all a lot older now, right? Okay. I think everyone's there to have a good time. You don't have the record label doing this. Come on, impress me, guys. You don't care about the radio stations. Just come and enjoy yourself, So you haven't got any of that pressure. So we just leap on the stage and just have a ball, And the audience is there to have fun. No one's there to judge you or anything like that. And we're all having one massive party. It's just wonderful. Love it. Absolutely love it. Yeah.
How about you, Johnny? Any special nights that stand out to you?
Definitely the Greek was amazing. And I'll tell you what, one of the ones where, for us personally as a band, I think Hidalgo was amazing.
Oh yeah, it was, wasn't it?
Because all the sort of Mexican fans we had there. And I remember doing the meet and greet, and there was armed guards there, standing, keeping them at bay. But they were just lovely people, the fans. But that was a great gig for us as well, if I remember. But yeah, playing the iconic, Greek theatre.
Oh man.
The Greek playing the Greek.
That's right, Johnny Cristo, the Greek in the house. I love it. Yeah. Definitely. Are you so did you grow up in Greece, or were you raised in America?
No, I was raised here. I came over to England from Cyprus, little island, when I was 3 months old. So I've been here all my life. And, my Greek's I don't really speak it very well, but I try.
Yeah.
I'm in touch with my Greek side, if you like, but I'm a Brit, really.
We have no Greek in my family at all, but my mom made Greek every year for Christmas. So we had dolmadas, spanakopita.
Oh no!
Wow.
Yeah. But, I just realized how ethnocentric my comment was when I said, "Did you grow up in America?" Of course, you guys are both in the UK. Sorry,
both in the UK.
I was wondering, because you have sort of a history in Greece, did you guys ever go back down and play down there and kind of have family come out and see you?
No,
we never did. I think the trouble, it's a nice problem to have. I think because it blew up so quickly in America, we spent all our time touring the States. And it's such a shame we never played Australia. I really regret that, because having lived there now for a long time, I wish we'd have gone down and played down in Australia. And we sort of touched Europe, didn't we, Johnny? But not much.
Yeah,
but,
we did. France was quite good. Germany was good for us. Australia was a big market for us, but we never went. We were talking sort of Asia, come Australia at one point before we sort of stopped, if you like.
But then all the American tours kept coming back in, didn't they? So we just kept touring around the States.
We did a lot in Canada as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, Trev, you just mentioned things kind of picked up so fast. Like, maybe we should go back and talk a little bit about this, like formation of the band and how.
I think we've got two tiers of well, for want of a better word, fans, I guess. We started off in London back in the early 80s, and we had an album out called Whitefields. And we used to play at a famous club called the Marquee in London. Used to play there quite a lot. Used to fill it out, and we had a small but really loyal following. We had some great times during those times, but the album didn't really do much. So EMI very kindly said, "Well, let's go back in and do another album," which wouldn't happen these days, right? So we went back in.
Hold tight for a second. I don't mean to interrupt you. You said EMI said they wanted to go back and do it. So did you already have a record deal?
We had an album out on EMI, Whitefields. It sold not many copies, probably 3,000 or 4,000, not many.
So did you get that deal because you had success in London and they just saw you?
Yeah, we sort of did it the old way. We sort of gigged around, got a following, people came to see us, and we eventually got a deal. So,
Okay.
so the guy rang the label, said, "Well, we'll give you another album, but you better write a hit." So we went away and went, "All right, we'll write a hit then." And we wrote Wild Wild West.
Oh,
so
yeah.
we had to change our sound to do it. But we wrote that song. We changed labels in the middle of it, but we wrote the song, and that just opened so many doors to us. We went into the US on a #1 record,
Yeah.
which is great, but it also has its problems, because you go #1, you can't really go any further than
Right.
that,
Yeah. Curse and a blessing.
Yeah.
How did
exactly.
How did your sound change? Were you stylistically, you were a different sound before?
Yeah, we were a lot more in the early 80s. We sat in the same place that Echo and the Bunnymen and U2 and Simple Minds sat. So it's very guitar heavy sort of rock, wasn't it, really? And then we kind of went a little bit more dancey. Same time as In Excess were doing it, we sort of put a few sort of dance beats in the music, and then combined it and did a combination with rock, and it seemed to work. Well, it did work, obviously, so so we just sort of moved a little bit away. We go back and listen to the Whitefields album, and we love it, which is our first one. We were going to do a gig in London this month, Johnny, or next month?
Yes,
next month, this month.
27th.
Yeah, and we had loads of our London fans wanted to come and see us, and it was going to be a brilliant sort of homecoming, after all these years, and we just had to cancel it because obviously no one can all sit in a room together, Yes, it's pretty sad.
Was the plan to go back to London and play the Whitefields album in its entirety?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, in its entirety from beginning to end, track by track.
Wow.
We've rehearsed it up and everything. We're ready to go, really, It's a shame.
Man. It was Trev, you and Johnny and John Holiday. It wasn't Red playing drums then, was it?
No, not in those days. No, Red's a new arrival to the band.
Did you say new rival or a new arrival?
A new arrival.
That was a little stab for him. Sorry. We love Red, man. I do. Yeah. But so the sound changed. Did you find that the people that were really supportive of you guys in the Whitefields era, did they kind of feel like they lost the connection with the band a little bit because you maybe commercialized for the record deal?
Well, it's hard to say really, because they're still with us, those Whitefield fans, and they do love Wild West. If I remember, there was a little bit of resentment for us going over to America, and we sort of ended up living there virtually, and everything we did was America, Canada. So because we sort of, Wild West was not a hit here at all. It got no airplay, it got nothing here. Partly the fault of the record company. The airwaves in those days, there was about 3 radio stations back then. And if you weren't on BBC Radio 1, you just didn't get anywhere. So we never got on their playlist. So even though the only time they ever played our song was, you probably remember the Casey Kasem?
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah, well, he used to do a midnight show here of the rundown of the US Billboard. And of course, we were #1. So they had to play us and show the video, but they sort of banned the video here. They sort of banned it just a little bit. I don't know what it was. Just
record labels, I think.
Yeah, so we did well. We thought, okay, we can't do it in England. It's not bad doing it in the US.
Yeah,
not a bad problem to have. I do remember though, because we did a couple of tours supporting the Alarm in the UK before we went out to America. Then we came out, we had the hit in America. Can you remember this, Johnny? And then we came back to the UK to do some more gigs, and it was supporting the Alarm. And the first gig was in Barrowlands in Glasgow, which used to be well known. If they didn't like it, you found out about it pretty quick, like bottles thrown at you. And we were backstage and we were going, I was thinking, oh my God, they're going to hate us because we're not the band we used to be.
Right.
And I remember walking along, and Barrowlands used to have this sprung, which still does, I think, a sprung dance floor. So as we came out, our intro tape started, and the whole place was just going up and down. It was like, yeah, they still like us. It's like, I thought they were going to can us off, but no, it was a good homecoming.
That's a good pairing. The Alarm is, they're Welsh, right? I remember. And really from that area, they were kind of tough blue collar, I think of, like the Liverpudlian, kind of like a tough guy, band,
Yeah.
right? They were the working man's band, if you will.
Yeah, yeah.
Springsteen.
So, yeah, right. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I can imagine if you guys come in and do Wild Wild West and you get your keyboards and the slick stuff. Yeah. You're probably,
Yeah.
probably going to take a boot to the head if you
Yeah.
watch
Yeah.
out.
No, it was good though. We won them over. So
Yeah.
it was fine.
It's infectious, man. When
Yeah.
you guys are on stage, that's one thing. Every single guy in your band is smiling. It's really cool. Even John Holiday. It's really cool, that
He's concentrated.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, constipated. 102. There's not really.
And we have to say he's asleep at the moment because he's down in Australia, so he couldn't come on. So
That's but that just gives us an opportunity to talk about the other guys, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So we're away in bands.
But I used to get grief from some bands that I was in for smiling. I was in a heavy metal band, a heavy metal band whose manager was the singer's mom. And the mom would come up to me and say, "There's no smiling in heavy metal." And I said, "There's no heavy metal bands that have moms for managers." But I think the era that we play music from is so happy and so it harkens back. It's a Brad Elvis comment from the Romantics. Harkens back to a time when people just got to be free and think about the happy stuff. And you guys are really in that moment, man. When you're playing these shows and you're engaging with the fans, I love that every guy not only is smiling and interacting with fans, but you guys are looking at each other. It's like you guys actually like each other. Imagine that.
I think we rediscovered that. We rediscovered it.
Yeah. Well, Treb, you mentioned you're older now, right? So you appreciate things in a different way. How do you guys feel like your relationships have evolved over time as time has gone on?
Between us,
yeah.
It's a hard one to say. Well, we're all brothers. I mean, we've known each other since we were kids, I guess. So I just think, just what maturity brings, you don't get picky with each other anymore. You accept each other's differences and rejoice in the talent of your brothers, really, because for all the reasons they piss you off, they're really bloody good as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, we get on really well, don't we, Johnny? I think we all get on.
Yeah, we're fine, man. We're cool.
Yeah. Is there a class clown in the group? Is there somebody that's kind of a cut up?
I think that becomes, if me and John get together, we're a nightmare. Back in the day when we used to have to go and do radio interviews, TV interviews, they'd split me and John up because we would just be fools. So I used to end up go with Trevor, who would ground me a bit, but then I'd bring Trevor up a bit. And John would go out with our drummer, Milan, who was the drummer then, and he was more serious. But so we had this leveling going.
You have to have one at least, right?
In
every band. Yeah. So you mentioned June 27th, you were supposed to be playing in the UK. You're back in London.
Yeah.
What was the rest of the summer looking like for you guys?
We didn't have anything planned, to be really honest. We were hoping to get on another 80s gigs, and we were talking to a couple of people, but there was nothing booked. I think we were looking at probably later in the year. We're talking to there was a guy in Canada wanted us on, one in Chile. So we're trying to put the whole thing together, but obviously it's all gone on hold. And we're talking about possibly coming on an 80s tour in 2021, I guess. Yeah, okay. It's going to have to be. I don't know, mate. What are you doing?
Well, that's the thing. I mean, you could speculate all day long about when this kind of stuff is going to open up, and I try not to do that anymore. I mentioned to the guys in my band, I hope for the best, but I plan for the worst and just try to make do what I can. And so what I'm doing right now is kind of that opportunity, I can still be with my buddies on tour, just through Zoom, but we had a big year booked. We did. I mean, with Flock, we were going to go back out with Lost 80s, and we had a lot of other really cool things. But they say that we've got shows in August and September. We'll just see if that really happens.
Is that a reality? Do you think? Is that a reality, or what do you think? I don't.
I kind of doubt it'll happen, but I don't even want to put that out in the universe, because I think
you just got to stay positive and just hope everything goes back.
Yeah.
Is Mike in the US at the moment, or is he back in? Is he in the UK?
He's in the UK. Yeah,
because that might be an issue as well. Just coming back into the US.
Yeah,
that's the problem, isn't it? Yeah.
Now that we had yesterday, he said he got confirmation that Labor Day weekend in Catalina was supposed to be a done deal, and I told him, so are you gonna try and wait till the last minute to get over from UK? And I think he's trying to get over now. He's got a place in Florida, so he'll probably.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
But
it's difficult. You have to take it day by day. Unfortunately, it doesn't it feel like we're at the end of a computer game. It's just like everything's going like just coming to this big crescendo, and it's really scary, man. Oh, it's really scary.
You guys, I mean, in the UK, you got to be Black Mirror fans, right?
Oh yeah, Charlie Booker, yeah.
It feels like a Black Mirror episode right now.
It really does, yeah, absolutely.
Like, with everything, with everything, the sort of the climate of looting and riots and
it's just mad.
Yeah,
it's sad. I think a lot of that's as well because people have been locked down for weeks, so they're frustrated anyway.
Sure,
it's a perfect storm. Not good at all.
I find it really sad. It's really saddening to see what's going on in your country right now. I don't want to go elaborate on it, but it just saddens me. And I'm just watching things. And I saw Portland as well today. There was a big protest and march up there, and just seeing what's going on. It's just awful. But I'm hoping that it's a change will come from all this.
That's you mentioned you didn't know if we want to touch on it yesterday, as Trev, you and I talked about the having the show must be paused day, where we actually just put music in and this kind of communication on hold. I was grateful to have the conversation with you about it, because it is really important, I think, for us all to have communication. The idea behind that blackout was to have a connection with community. And I'd mentioned that that we're doing right now is my hope that we can both commiserate, we could talk about gratitude and humility and the fun things that we love doing, but also the real stuff. It's tragic what's happening. It's awful, and there's a lot that needs to change. I'm hopeful that if cooler minds prevail and the right people are influencing our development, then there will be systemic change across the board, not just in the US. It needs to happen everywhere, but in America, this is something that we've regressed in a big way, right? The 50s and 60s were a change for sort of America. I mean, when you guys got here, right, in the 80s, everything it was like we were all together. The music brought a lot of people together, and there was a lot of work in just in seeing people as equals, regardless, we're all the same underneath. And that truly is how I feel. And
especially in our job, being musicians, you don't even think about it, do you?
No.
It's not even a question.
It shouldn't be for anyone.
That's why it seems so strange when this stuff goes down. It's like, can't believe it in this day and age. It's really scary stuff. Yeah.
In this day and age. And so the hope is, we've got a lot of TV personalities that are kind of saying, look, this has to change right now, right? And I've avoided any kind of political discourse or anything like that. I have my own opinions for sure, but the thing is, when I talk about equality and us being the same underneath, I don't like to even put labels on somebody because of a political affiliation. It's just being dignified human beings, right? Treating each other.
Exactly. It's beyond politics. That is. Really I think when you start talking about that, it's beyond party lines and all that. So it's the same with the environment as well. You can't talk about the environment and be political. It's nothing to do with that. It's the planet we live on.
Absolutely.
We're all human beings living on a planet. Let's get a grip here.
Yeah. No, I that's one thing that I love, that you guys, that we could all sit around and we could talk about this stuff backstage and look at even people that are in these bands that might have differences of opinion. You could have a conversation about it. It would never be an argument. It wouldn't be a judgment or anything, because there's respect for each other, and I love the fact that from what I see, when I think about Hidalgo, you mentioned Hidalgo, Johnny, that green room, right? There was one
Yeah, yeah.
huge green room behind that venue, and every one of the bands was stuck in there having food, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And I think between all the bands and the entourage and the production people and the tour managers, there are probably 60, 70 people back there at any given time, and you could walk through that room past these little pockets of conversation, and you'd see people move from one group to another. And it was rare to even see that bands were kind of sticking together. You wouldn't see like the Escape Club band and a Flock of Seagulls and all these other bands, but you'd see people just like melding together. And it's a special thing, especially where that's at, right? Because Hidalgo is really, it's
that far from the border, isn't it?
It is, and that is where we've seen a lot of unrest happening there, right? Because the detainees of migrants is right there. And I went down to the migrant facility that day too. It was
really?
It was one thing I had to do, and I loved seeing the people that were really working together to make. So I know that I'm touching on all sorts of hot buttons here, but we had that moment in Hidalgo in the backstage area. Then right after the show, that was a different kind of gig where they had all those booths set up just outside the venue where they had everything from, food and merchandise kind of carts and, like little swag things to bail bonds and everything in between. I thought it was funny that there was a big bail bonds like booth right outside the venue, but that was one of the most I think comfortable places to just get to talk to everybody out there as fans. I don't think they get a lot of music that comes through there, right? And so we were like the best thing in town for a long time. And
those guys at the meet and greet, the line just went on forever. But they were so excited. They come behind you for photographs. It was just like fantastic to meet them. That really has stuck in my mind, that meet and greet. Out of all the meet and greets, that one was brilliant.
Do you guys stay in touch with people? We lost Trev. Yeah, hopefully he'll come back. But do you stay in touch with people from some of these shows? Have they stayed in touch with you via social media to connect?
What, band wise, or do you mean fan wise?
Fan wise, yeah, friends.
Yeah, fan wise. Yeah, we speak to them on all our media sites and Facebook and Instagram, and some of them we've got them on personal stuff. Hey, he's upside down now. There he is.
Hey, buddy.
Hello. I'm back. My internet cracked out. You got me.
Yep, gotcha. Absolutely.
I'm on my phone now.
Well, you won't believe what we just missed. We were talking about. No, we weren't talking about you. No, I was asking about staying connected with some of those fans. After meet and greets, I know that people feel like they have a connection with you, right? They got a picture, maybe they got some swag or some merchandise, and then they feel like, wow, Johnny and Trev are beyond these sort of people that I could never really assume to know, but they feel like they have a connection with you because they get to meet you. And I wondered if you stay in touch with people that way through just, casual interaction, or maybe you develop some friends.
We stay in touch with them via our Facebook page. We don't we socialise with anyone? Not really. Like to. It just, you know what it's like though. You're in one town one night and then you're off for the next night. You get to say hi and everything. And as we said, we're all older now, so they've all got families to go back to or whatever. And so we stay in touch via Facebook. I think that's our main place to talk to people. Yeah.
Do you all maintain the Facebook, or is it just one particular person?
Yeah, no, we all do. I probably do it a little bit more. And Johnny does a bit as well now, but. I do most because I kind of do that in my day job as well, really. So.
So what's your day gig?
I develop young bands and stuff, and I'm sort of still in the music business and on the other side of it. Right. So I help them with all that sort of stuff. Yeah.
Are you working with a label in particular, or are you just?
I have done. Yeah, I've worked with different labels over the years. Yeah.
So a label will come to you and say, "Hey, Trev, look, we've got an up and coming artist."
No, usually I find a band and go to the label with them.
Really? Oh, right on.
Yeah.
So how does one go as a young and up and coming band? How does one come about getting hold of Trev to say, "Hey, help me out"?
just through Facebook or through just emailing me or something. I mean, I'm quite picky. I don't do it that often. I've got one going at the moment. I did it in Australia as well. So, and it's getting harder, Kevin. You know what the industry's like. It's harder and harder to do it.
Wait,
And,
what?
and these days, I think any of the major labels really, they don't. By the time they want to sign you, you can be doing it yourself. It's the truth of it, because you need to have so much action that really, what do you need them for, really? So it's a strange place we're at the moment.
Do you help with those bands? So maybe that you don't necessarily drive them towards a label, but you just say, here's what you guys need to do to really get to the next tier.
Yeah, really. And a lot of the time it's because, when you're sitting where we are on the other end of our careers, you go and see a band anywhere, you know what they're doing wrong straight away.
Yeah.
So as long as they'll listen to you, you can go and help them, That's the truth of it.
The thing is, when they're young as well, they're full of, excitement and this, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. They don't know the business end and the reality of it all as well.
No, that's right. Sorry, putting my hand on it. That's so true, yeah.
It's,
Sorry, man. I'm trying to do this with my phone now because my internet's messed up.
Oh yeah, well, I appreciate you doing it, man. The one of the guests I have coming up is actually an agent that I met when we were playing Kansas City about a year ago, and he is also in a band, in a really successful band out of Kansas City. He and his brother have this gig. He's got this program called it's Play Music, Make More. He has this whole guide to more fulfilling and higher paying gigs. So I'm going to have him on as a guest because we started talking about it. He develops a lot of, he doesn't develop artists, but he develops programs for people to be able to go after, more success. And it's not one of those kind of like self-help, buy this book and you'll make $1 million kind of thing. But
Sure.
But you said, you could look at a band and right away tell if they're, they're worth their snuff. And he's saying, I think a lot of bands don't recognize it in themselves. It's hard to be objective.
No, they don't.
Right?
They don't. That's the truth.
So they just
and I think it's hard to see. I think even for us, I look back on us now, and I can see what we were doing wrong even then. But then you can't. You've got no idea. It's only with the benefit of hindsight, really.
What do you think you were doing wrong back in the day?
We did different things wrong at different times.
Yeah.
I think by the time we met on our first, second, third album, we should have concentrated far more on songwriting. And less on just feel, it's just obvious stuff to us now. You know what I mean? It's like, we could have spent more time writing, I think, before we went in and did the third album. Yeah.
The thing is as well, back in those days, the record company played a big part in it, management. So they always orchestrated what you did with, even with your sound. They would say, no, what you got to do? You got to do this. You got to make this type of video. You got to do this type of thing. And I think when you're in a band and you're not that successful, you sort of go along with what they're saying, like with our management, they were pulling us one way and everything. And
that's right.
We sort of felt, this isn't wrong. We're not making any money with our hits, all that sort of thing. But they're doing this to you, they're doing that to you. So you go along with it. But it's only after the event, hindsight, you think, hang about a minute, what we should have done, we should have said no, and we should have done this, and we should have rebelled a bit more. But as Trevor was saying, also in our songwriting, maybe at the time we didn't have our ears to the ground, what was going on maybe, but we always thought we knew better.
Right. That's the thing. You always think you know better. That's
we were young.
You can put that on the gravestone of most bands, I think.
Oh man, I would say most like mid to late teens and up, right? And youth is all about bravado and false confidence, right? So you guys were pretty young when you first started playing together.
Oh, well, yeah, not that young. We were early 20s when we first got together. Johnny was in one of the very first punk bands in London, weren't you, mate?
Yeah, I was in a punk band. I started out in sort of 76, 77.
Wow.
My good friend who I grew up with in my town, Keith Livin, he played in Public Image Limited. He was with Johnny Rotten, but he was one of the founder members of The Clash.
Wow.
And there was a famous gig called The Screen at the Green in Islington, London, where it was the Sex Pistols, The Clash, the Buzzcocks, Susie Sue, all in their embryo stage. It was chaos. And there was probably about 200 punks. That was all there was, the first part of the movement. And Keith said, come down and see this. This is going to really happen. So we went down there, and we were sort of like an Allman Brothers, Leonard Skinner band at the time. And we went and saw this happening. We went, shit, we need some of this stuff.
Wow.
So we all went and cut our hair and you know, drain pipe trousers, ripped out t-shirt, sped our Allman Brothers songs up about 1,000 miles an hour, and just sang very aggressive lyrics. And wow, we were living in the King's Road, which was the place to be, with management. They were all signing up. Unfortunately, with that band, we would have gone on to big things, but we imploded members-wise. We were 17, 18. We was crazy. So from there, I leapfrogged into another band with a guitarist called the Expressos, which became the next. We were meant to be the next Pretenders. We had the same record company, the same management, the same publisher. The Pretenders, Jimmy, Pete, and Martin were all good friends of ours. Unfortunately, no longer with us. Martin is, but Pete and Jimmy died, unfortunately. We were meant to be the next ones. Then a TV program that focused on a thing. It was a program called World in Action, where they showed bands that are being hyped into the charts, which was like Payola in your day over there, which everybody was doing. But
even there.
Over here it was called hyping. And all they did was hype their first single into the charts just so you get airplay.
Right.
And what happened, they did this program, big hour-long program about the hyping business. And they had these guys from WEA, Warner Brothers, blacked out faces going, yeah, I helped hype that band into the charts. So from there on in, everything we got, press-wise, whatever, oh, that's that band who gets hyped, even though Bowie and everybody was being hyped. So that sort of killed that band off. But it was a godsend because then the drummer and I then joined Trevor and John.
Really?
On the Escape Club. So it was a fate meant to happen, maybe.
Yeah, well, those are chapters in the book that lead you to the So how did that pairing happen between the two of you?
Well, John and I were in a band called Mad Shadows back in the day. We were like real new romantic, sort of like hair down here, like big fringes and jewelry. And our keyboard player, Ian Kerno, kind of the songs can't have been much good because he held them up and, you know, playing all these really great keyboard parts. So he got a gig playing with Talk Talk.
Oh wow!
So he went off to do that, and of course the whole thing fell over. And then John and I thought, well, we've got something here. Let's see what we can do. And we saw that the Expressos had just split up, so we contacted you first. No, we contacted Milan, the drummer, first. Yeah, got him in, and then we got Johnny in almost immediately afterwards. And then
just to interact with that one, I then joined another band. What John was, John Holiday.
Yeah, you did.
So I joined his old band as well. So just before all that one, carry on, Trev. Sorry.
Yeah, no, well, that's what you do, isn't it? I mean, it's like it's really early stuff. It's, you know. But that, you know, you just got to keep going at it, haven't you? Until you get, and then all of a sudden it all gelled and we got a sound and everything started working. And you kind of know when you know this when you're in a band, all of a sudden it just gels and you just know it's suddenly right. And for me, that was from then on it just worked. You know. Well,
having the new, you know, the Expressos rhythm section coming in, I would bet it probably helped those things gel because you got two guys that formed they felt their sound together, and there's something really special about, you know, drum and bass, you know, combo that really lock, right?
Absolutely. And Johnny's been out of the band, out of the orbit for a while, obviously because he lost Corinne and all that sort of stuff. And me and John were in Australia, so we did do some 80s gigs about 10 years ago without Johnny there. And I've got to say, it just wasn't the same. It just wasn't good because you need his bass there. You need Johnny there, you know. It's just like, so you just need that chemistry. You just do.
It is chemistry, right? It's not just his playing, but there is, you know, I talked about the smiles that you guys have on stage with each other. It's not for show. You know, there really is something it's like watching any relationship. You know, if you see a couple together and you think, wow, they have something that, you know, I want, right? You can see that something that's admirable, and there are a lot of bands that would kill to have the chemistry that you guys have on stage. It's nice to see that it works.
And it's good to get up there now, and it's like all the old feelings, everything comes back to you. As soon as you set foot on stage, you become that person again, which is great. Such good fun. That's
you have any early day like goosebump moments that, because you said things took off right away with the band, so you get the record that took off in America?
I've got one. We were doing the state fairs, and we were out in Texas somewhere, and we were doing it with, we did a double headliner with Information Society.
Oh, nice.
And I just had a moment when, I don't know, there were a lot of people there. We weren't used to playing to lots of people. It's like a big gig, you know.
Yeah.
And I started one of the songs just on an acoustic, and I remember standing there, and the moon was rising, and there was this great big audience, and it was just me singing. I just had this out of body experience and looking at myself going, fucking hell, that's just pretty, we've come here.
30 years later, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
exactly.
30 years later, you could still remember the goosebumps, look at the moon. How about you, Johnny?
Yeah.
Any moments like that you could think of that just were changers for you?
Oh God, it must be a million of those moments. The thing that when we got back together again, especially for the Lost 80s tour last year, I think Trevor and both and I couldn't really look at each other in case we were going to cry, because it was just such an amazing feeling. It's like to look over and go, hello, mate, we're back.
Yeah,
you know,
man.
That's for me. And that whole Lost 80s tour last year, and you go on about all the bands, one big family. That's what really made that tour. Everybody got on so well. The fans, it projected out to the fans that everybody was having a great time. For me, that is my memories. I could go, I can't remember back 30 years now. So so I'll go back to last year. I can remember that.
There were some good ones last year, man, for sure.
Fantastic.
You know, the Greek, you know, you guys might not have known this, and this is horrible. I mean, I may get myself in trouble for saying this, but when we, let's see, Dramarama was playing, and the dressing room that we had, some of the production people came up to us before we went on stage, early in the day after sound check, and they said, where I was sitting, the guy said, you know who was sitting there yesterday? And I said, who's that? And he said, yeah, Ringo Starr. I said, what? Ringo's All-Star Band was there. And in our dressing room, one whole wall had the AV system where they had PAs, or they had, tuners and mixers and DVD players and big, huge panel TV, all behind these glass panels. And you'd push on them to open them up. But one of the glass panels had a ladder behind it. And the ladder went up through the roof, up through the skylight on the roof of the Greek Theater. So I actually watched the Dramarama set from up on the roof. I climbed over and hung over, and it was one of those things, like the stars were out, and it was beautiful. You could see the Griffith Observatory from where you're at, and I thought, as long as I wasn't going to fall off on John Easdale as he was singing, right? But I remember looking down, and you could see Clem Burke, you know, sitting on side stage, you know, watching, and the Tubes guys were all watching, and oh man, it's you know, the iconic venue, but also the magic of that night was, you know, sold out Greek Theater, all of our buddies right there, and then something about, you know, about the history, you know, I think there's, you know, there's a melancholy sort of vibe, right? You think, okay, so these shows aren't happening this summer, but you know that we'll all pair up and do this kind of stuff in the future, you know, because I think as much as the fans are going to want it, but the bands want it too. You know, I want to play with you guys again.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that day, mate. I really am. Seems a long way off at the moment.
I need a big Kevy hug.
Oh man, like, I'm not as sweaty right now as I usually am when I see you.
One thing on that tour was that a hot tour. Everywhere we went was like 40 degrees. And you went outside, especially Texas. Oh my God, that was so hot.
That was incredible. Yeah. It doesn't help that I'm, you know, a good 100 pounds overweight, you know, so I've always been a sweater, even if, you know, if it just, it's in my DNA, but I think, you know, some of these other pairings that we had, these other bands, you mentioned Information Society, and I haven't seen them in the last couple of Lost 80s shows, but were there other bands that you toured well with back in like when the band broke?
We played with Big Country,
Cool.
The Alarm, like we said. Who else did we play with, Johnny? I can't remember. China Crisis.
Okay.
Yeah, China Crisis was another one. We did a big tour in America with Mike and the Mechanics. A really strange pairing. Only in the sense strange pairing because we should have gone out with Roxette or In Excess or someone like that but our management managed Phil Collins, managed Mike and the Mechanics and Genesis. Yeah. So they sort of got us to sort of, you could call it sponsor their tour, if you like, by paying on to it. They said that they needed CHR radio and we needed AOR, so they thought it would be a good thing. We sort of went along with it, but it wasn't the best pairing for us because we were a young, you know, vibrant band, and they were sort of like, Yeah, the
older,
beard's all
sophisticated.
yeah.
Great musicians, though, eh?
Oh, huge!
Really,
Oh, amazing!
a great band. As you
Yeah.
know, with
Yeah.
the great Paul Young was singing.
Oh,
Right.
yeah.
Garrett
Amazing.
was there. Obviously, Mike Rutherford was fantastic. All
Yeah.
the great guys. We got on really well.
Yeah, I bet.
And there was one memory on, I think it was the last night of the tour, and all the roadies decided to sabotage our set. So when Wild Wild West was on, every time the gunshot went off in Wild Wild West, they did fart noises. And but the really strange thing, that they were sabotaging the whole set, but all of a sudden the power went down anyway, and we thought, no, that's taking it too far. Guys, you know.
Oh my God! I'm just picturing the over the PA.
Well, we used to do this thing in the beginning of Wild Wild West where John Holiday would do the Bonanza theme.
Okay.
So it's sort of like and he'd like, so the audience know Wild Wild West was coming, and they'd all go, yeah, and then it would and then the gunshot would go, and then come in. It would just go. Because we'd stand there like this, ready to shoot.
Oh man, you've just given me some really good ideas for the next Lost 80s Lounge.
Last night of the tour.
Yeah, I'm just thinking like all those trigger samples on the When in Rome set on Rob's Octopad. Okay, sorry. All right, nobody heard that, right? It's going to be a surprise. No. Okay.
There was one night you was beckoning me to throw you the drumstick, your drumstick thing. Yeah. I was too scared. I thought I might take your eye out, and then Mike will have a go or something. And now I wish I did throw it to you, because you had the art there.
Oh,
every night, Kev. Watched you every night.
That was incredible. Yeah,
man, I do miss those things, but and just the interaction, having you side stage and heckling, and you guys picking your nose or whatever, making fun. Yeah. But
actually, watching Josh one night making a mess of it. Josh kept throwing you the stick. You kept missing it. You kept throwing it wrong. This went on for about half an hour.
I think there were like 10 sticks, right? They were all like sailing way over my head. And he's actually the pro. He's the guy that really, the first time that we ever did it, it was just an accident, and he lofted it so perfectly that we started doing it a little more. I don't think Mike likes it when I do it at all. Actually, like, well, one time it bounced and hit his wife just like right near the eye. And
ouch.
I've had a few friends on here. My pal Mark Schulman has been playing with Pink, and I think he got sued for a lot of money for hitting somebody in the crowd. And
really?
So he's got insurance now for
wow.
But I you mentioned Paul Young, with Mike and the Mechanics. I talked to Downtown Julie Brown about a week ago. And
how was she?
Oh my God. I mean, I love her so much.
So do I.
But you should see her talk about Paul Young, right? I mean, really, it, and going back and looking at her history, seeing all these pictures with her and Michael Jackson and everybody under the sun, right? But she talks about growing up in London, being, dancing. She was on one of those dance music shows, Top of the Pops. Yeah. And so before that, I think she'd done some other thing, but yeah, that kind of led her to get to the MTV gig. But she says the most special moment for her was meeting Paul Young. And she said, she's just a fan. So she gets, kind of goofy. And I love her, honesty and humility, because all these people that have been around that have done so many of these things, you would think that, they've been there, done that. They don't really appreciate those moments anymore. Yeah. But she truly does. And I mean, of course, Paul Young is, iconic, but to see the reverence that she had for him was, it was really special,
Brilliant. That's really good.
Yeah. How about like influences then? Like, because she said Paul was like one of her favorites all time. Did you have Trev, as a singer, did you have somebody that you grew up that you thought, wow, this is my guy?
Well, yeah, like me and most people from my generation, Bowie, really. He just, everything he did. And David Byrne as well, funnily enough.
No, I get that.
David Byrne more from a lyric sense, really. But yeah, those two more than anyone really influenced me. Yeah.
How about you, Johnny?
a wide range, but definitely Bowie, obviously. I love Bowie. Everybody you could think of, you know, even down to Michael Jackson, Bob Marley, all the icons really like that. Up to this day, I love Muse, Coldplay.
Oh my God.
All these guys. I just love anything that is good.
Yeah.
Even Thomas Dolby back in the day, I remember, you know, Blinded with Science, you know. See him doing it again 30 years later again. Who was on that Bowie Live Aid gig, which is, you know, going back to that.
God, that's right. Yeah, and downtown Julie Brown was there introducing that.
Yeah.
So the Live Aid. But I you know, you talk about newer bands, you know, Coldplay and Muse. Like Muse is one of my favorite. I mean, if you could tell me a band right now touring that was needing a drummer, like I'm here, guys.
Right.
But the you know, like your connection with Charlotte, John, your daughter, is really, really close. It's amazing to see her come out and watch her dad. And I see on social media how tight you guys are. Is she really musical? And she like a lot of music?
Oh man, she loves her music. She just sings all day long.
Really?
All day long. I've got the door closed because she could be downstairs with her ukulele singing. I don't know. You know, she loves to sing. She loves to act. She's at drama at uni doing drama, and she sings. She plays. I tried to get her in the when she was very young, like 8 years old, to play piano. And she had piano lessons, but it was all like the piano teacher was a stuffy old lady, you know. Okay, you must learn how to do this. She just wanted to play. Yeah. So the teacher actually had a go at me, saying she's great at what she does, but she's not reading the music. She's memorizing it and playing it. So, and I said, well, just stop playing because obviously your heart's not there. She wants to do blues or what have you. So. But no, we since her mum passed away, I've had to bring her up on my own. She was 12. So it's been, you know, we're really tight. We're really tight. We're best friends. We go to gigs together. We go see Muse and I'm up with her, you know. Coldplay, all those shows, met Fly, all those bands that she loves. I go and see them and it's great. It keeps me young.
Yeah, I was wondering if she could influence you with the new music, you know.
Yeah, she teaches me a lot of stuff. I listen to a lot of stuff that I'd never listened to, but through her, you know, even musical theatre. I go to the theatre so much now. Love it, absolutely adore it. But before we went on tour and I was practicing at home, I had my Logic up and I was practicing the songs and doing the rapping Wild Wild West. She would come in laughing her head off. You know, a silly old man. But then when she came and saw us at the Greek and in Vegas, she loved it. That's my dad. That's my dad.
Right. There's the cred that you deserved, right?
Yeah. Otherwise, I was just dad.
Well, yeah. Otherwise, dad's in the office. He's doing his little thing, his thing, right? Yeah. How about you, Trev? Do you have children?
No, I don't. No, just me and my wife here. Yeah.
Just Red.
No, just Red. Yeah.
So if you guys don't know, Red is Red Rod is their drummer, and
he's a drummer. Yeah.
He's as much of a kid as I think anybody needs to have, right? He's adorable, man. So I miss cutting up with him, you know, backstage. But And how long have you been married, Trev?
Oh, years, since 2000. Oh, hang on, since the millennium. So quite a long time.
Okay.
Probably longer than that. My wife will probably kill me for this because she had it engraved in my ring. 2001, I think we got married because I'm useless at remembering things. A long time. Yeah, we're very, very happy. We're good.
We didn't prep any questions, and so people should know this. I didn't mean to set you up. No, I just wonder, you know, when people are in relationships and then they have like a second resurgence in music, right? Because this is kind of like a chapter 2 for you, right?
Yeah.
And is it difficult for your
wife?
wife?
Well, she never saw us play back in the day.
Right.
She only met me when we were right at the very tail end of the band, and then she was my friend for years before we got married.
Nice.
So she'd never really experienced us doing it. So the first time she saw us live was at the Greek, actually.
Really?
So with Charlotte, that's the first time she'd seen me play live.
Oh my gosh.
Which is kind of nuts.
Oh my God. Yeah. I remember seeing her backstage. Oh my gosh. That was the first time she saw you?
Yeah.
Wow. When I asked if it's tough because, you know, if you've been together now almost 20 years, And this is chapter 2 for you. She didn't know you back in the day, the wild, crazy touring days, and all of a sudden, Trev's got this opportunity where, I'm going to be out on the road. I'm going to be touring and being a rock star, with the public again. Sometimes it's tough for a partner to see that they have to share that, right, with someone. So
no, she's fine. She's
cool.
We're so close. It's not an issue at all. It really isn't.
She wasn't threatened by my man crushes on you guys.
No, she knows she doesn't need to be. That's
It's just me. They're just hugs. That's all they are. I promise you.
Just you. That's true.
She's really encouraging, isn't she, Trev? She really
she is.
encourages you to do it. She pushes us, actually, doesn't she? So,
you
You
totally.
should do this, you should do that. She comes up with some great ideas as well.
That's cool.
Exactly.
That's awesome. Did she come up with the flower arrangement behind you?
Yeah, actually.
All right.
See that,
Yep, I see that. Like, I don't miss those things, man. Hang on to those relationships. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Like I said, I kind of like to see how people have their rooms, dialed in behind them when we're doing conversations. And we've talked about this, this speculation about when we can get back on the road again. You got a globe right there. If you,
I have got a globe. Yeah, that's and it's got Australia on it from here. I can see. Yeah, which I missed. Yeah.
I was wondering if you had to spin the globe and pick a spot that you want to go back to right away. Is that where you want to be?
I would go. Well, I lived there for 15 years. So me and my wife lived there for 15 years, and I sort of regret moving, to be honest. I love Australia. So yeah, we'll go back one day.
It's on my list, man. I've never been. Also,
you have to go. It is the most amazing country. It really is.
Where were you at?
Sydney, northern beaches of Sydney. Yeah.
Okay.
John's still out there. He's up in Queensland.
Oh, he's in Queensland. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm talking to David Sterry soon as well.
Dave.
But he's in Melbourne.
Yeah, he is. Yeah.
God, another just beautiful human being, right?
I love Dave. Yeah, he's a great guy. Really good guy. Yeah.
How blessed were we all, right, to be in this opportunity where, it could go either way. Bands might be really, uptight that, there was like a departure in the music career, right, where they maybe had to go back and leave the big stages behind to work a working man's job, right? But I don't ever see that chip on your guys' shoulders. I think you appreciate the fact that you're there again.
And of course.
Like, Johnny, are you working a day gig right now as well?
No, I'm not doing anything. I'm just in lockdown right now.
Oh, right.
Stayed home for 3 months. I've still got illness problems, with all that, and so I'm just trying to keep myself safe.
Oh my, yeah! You had a cancer run.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, talk about that.
It's really strange. I hadn't really told people. People don't know that I've had cancer. So
I just made it up. Sorry. This is not the Howard Stern show.
My star sign, yeah. No, I had 2 major liver operations where I had cancer, and unfortunately this February they've seen something again on me, but I think they call it undetermined. It's my blood count's not showing exactly what it is, so they rescanned me again. Nothing's changed. There's something there, but they're not 100% sure. So I'm just happy to be here, enjoying myself with Charlotte.
Yeah.
I wish we were playing more gigs and stuff now, but which is a real shame because I'm back now. Last year when I was on tour, January, they cut me open like 53 staples in me and did all these things. 2 years in a row they've done that, and I just fought hard. And to 1 minute you're lying in a hospital bed, next minute you're 6 weeks touring in the USA.
Yeah,
which is crazy what life can throw at you, but I'm positive with it. I just, I have to stay safe, stay fit for my daughter, for myself, for the band. So, it's just it's one of those things. You just got to take it on the chin and keep fighting. You get dealt cards, you got to deal with it.
Yeah, man. Your gratitude, for what you've got right there with Charlotte, your health, and I think it's really important to recognize those things. I think that's what kind of keeps us sane right now, is having some gratitude for what we've got. And and really, I've said this a couple of times about the current state of things, that we could all sort of play the victim if we wanted to, right? Because everybody in the world is a victim of what's going on. But like you said, you take it on the chin, you keep rolling. You've been thrown enough curveballs, man, that, you've figured out a way, yeah. I mean, you've dealt with adversity and you learn how to, to move forward and be productive with it. And that's so key, man. And if there's anything that I could say, that's super inspiring, it's like looking at you guys. I mean, in the UK, it's been locked down hard, right? I heard that they're, they'll, like you leave curfew, and if you've got an illness, Mike Score was telling me that, they'll fine you, they'll arrest you for, putting medical professionals at risk if you've got, if you're out, past, during the quarantine or the lockdown time. So, yeah, I mean, you got to hopefully, Trev, you and your wife have a good relationship, and you and Charlotte.
Yeah, no, we're fine. It's getting a bit old now. We've been locked down for 10 weeks because we came back from Oz, and then it shut the doors because we saw it coming. So yeah, I mean, we got a nice big flat to live in, and we get food delivered. I mean, can't complain really.
Yeah.
But, any complaints I have is first world problems. Really.
Yeah.
There's plenty of people out there who've got a lot worse than us.
That's true.
It gets really gets to you after a while sometimes,
Yeah, man. I'm hopeful that you can have things open up a little bit, but just that that you recognize how grateful you are for each other, and anybody out there that's watching. A lot of people have said that it's kind of a nice escape, to hear other people and their either challenges that they're dealing with at the point, or how they're overcoming this stuff.
Sure.
Yeah.
Stay alive. That's the most important thing, right?
And be good to each other, right? I mean, that's
Absolutely.
the thing.
Yeah.
If you're at home and you're on social media, instead of engaging in a debate and fight with somebody because their opinion's different, just try to, I really do love that your positivity and your humility is it's infectious, man. It will carry on, so
be kind.
Be kind.
I've been lucky. I've got a really big backyard, so I've been out there, and we've had some fantastic weather. The last 6 weeks, it's just been blazing sunshine. It's actually turned today, the weather, so it's gone a bit pants, but I've got a lovely backyard. I just sit out there all day, tinker with the garden, play some guitar. It's actually frustrating because the weather's been too nice to come in here and do some songwriting. So it's a bit tough, but going to the songwriting, Trevor and I have been working quite hard together, haven't we? And, we're hoping as the band to get some new material out this year. It's great to have technology so we can send ideas back and forth and work on it. So we're waiting on John at the moment. John, get your guitar sorted out, mate.
Yeah.
Are you all using Logic?
Yeah, we're all using Logic, yeah.
Okay. And and Red giving you any beds to work with at all too on drums?
Yeah, he has. Yeah, no, but we started off. I had a couple of ideas I'd already written, so we started off with those just to ease into it.
Sure.
Red's given us some beds. Johnny has. John's got a whole load of guitars. We've got loads of ideas. We just got to make them into songs now.
That's really cool. It's a real collaborative effort for writing then.
Oh, totally. Yeah, it is. It's just logistically hard because we're all over the planet. So there's never one time when the sun's up in every place we're at.
That's true. Yeah, you guys.
We're all over the place.
Australia, UK, and the US.
Well, Red's actually just moved to Amsterdam, so that'll make things a bit interesting. Yeah, I know.
Oh my God. See, he's like a kid, man.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, he's enjoying it. So I don't know. We'll see how it goes. I hope it goes well for him. Yeah.
I love Amsterdam, man. It's such wonderful.
Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah.
Great friends. Lots of good culture there.
Yeah.
But man, well, when they wake up, Red's obviously awake, but when John wakes up, I want you guys to, the next time you collaborate and do a group chat, I would love for you to give them a big virtual hug for me, all four of you guys.
We will
man.
do. We will do.
I think, and since there's new music that's on the rise, I'd love to archive whatever I can in terms of social media links and website links so that people can be notified when you got some new stuff out. So
absolutely, yeah. And on our website, if anyone wants to see what we're doing, just the Escape Club News, escapeclubband.com is where we're at. So
right on. I'll put that in the archive on YouTube and on my website.
Okay, nice.
But man, just please know that I absolutely adore you guys. I think the world of you, and I'm grateful that we get to hang out.
It's mutual, Kev. It's mutual. Yeah,
God.
really good. Well, we look forward to the next time we can gig together.
Yeah, and let's find find a cure for this pandemic, and then
Yeah.
you know, because then we can hug each other too. Because
We
you know,
can,
I want,
exactly.
you know, yeah, I I don't want to end this without thanking Five Star Guitars for their amazing support with me, and also Audix Microphones, actually. So this beautiful microphone and Five Star Guitars. I want to thank them for helping put the opportunity together to get my friends and I on this, you know, on this planet somehow through virtual means. But so Trev, Johnny, man, and Johnny, please give squeeze to Charlotte too. And I miss her.
will do.
I miss her smile, man.
I will do. Thank you.
All right, you guys.
It's been great, Kev, and you made it last year for me. You really did. Love you.
And vice versa, man. It really, it was, it would not have been nearly as fulfilling without you. So,
and say hi to your mum and dad for me.
I will, man. I'm gonna go see them in a couple weeks in Montana.
Yeah. I remember coming and seeing them in at the Seattle Zoo, wasn't it?
That's what the Seattle gig, and my son Nolan was there. Yeah,
I remember that.
Yeah, and my brother Ben. That was a big family reunion.
It was fantastic.
I'm road tripping in a couple weeks to go see them. So
brilliant.
Yeah, I will say hi to all of them, and bless you guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you much, good.
For those of you that are here on All Access Live, I'm going to be right back on in about 45 minutes with Scott Southworth from Nashville, my dear friend. So we'll just we're doing a double feature today to make sure that we catch up for the solidarity and keeping things paused. So, all right, Trev, Johnny, thank you so much. All right,
all the best.
Thanks, guys. Take care.
See you.
Bye-bye.